Stories based on personal experiences can be challenging because it means facing those aspects of a life event or home life that may dredge up painful memories. But it can also provide a deeply needed catharsis. And every excellent writer writes what they know, even if it drags up the past in the process. I'm your host, Garrett K. Jones, and this month for Author Awareness, I'm interviewing Adam Perry about his book, All Possible Orbits. Hey, welcome to my channel. If you're a returning viewer, glad to have you back. And if you're new, there are so many things to check out. This channel has it all. Top 10 lists like last week's video, author interviews like this video, and creative writing tips, as well as a live video at the end of the month. There are also a few ways that you can become a channel supporter, but I'll talk more about those towards the end of the video. In the meantime, I want to talk to you about No Shave November. No Shave November is a fundraiser event and movement that is partnered with the American Cancer Society, helping raise money for cancer awareness and support. Specifically, cancers that impact men. I'm signed up to kick cancer in the ass, and I'm aiming to raise $250 for the Testicular Cancer Society. I'm growing my beard, and whoever makes the largest donation gets to decide what I do with the beard at the end of the month. Now, if you'd like to donate, please go ahead and check out the link down in the video description and make those donations as your conscience seems fit. Before going any further with the video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications on new videos. You can select notifications for all videos, or you can select notifications based on your preferences. If you're watching on your phone, be sure to update those settings inside the app itself to get the most out of your viewing experience. I connected with this month's interviewee earlier in the year through Instagram. I've been following Adam for a number of months, and I was really eager in what he had to say and about what he wrote because it was just really insightful. I asked him to be a part of Author Awareness for Season 4, and he just jumped at the chance. So, without any further ado, we have a really great conversation, and I would like to invite you now to watch that interview. Enjoy. Well, Adam, thank you for joining me. Please tell me about your work and what you write.
Sure. I've had a hard time finding whatever quote unquote my genre is. Every time I submit a query letter, there's always that moment of, what do I write? What am I? Am I literary fiction? Am I fiction? Am I this? Am I that? What I've kind of come to realize is that I fall in between several different genres, like a lot of people do. And what I've put on my website as my little tagline is Southern Gonzo fiction.
It kind of sounds like Elmore Leonard meets a little bit of Faulkner, I guess.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I'm a shameless lover of Elmore Leonard. And yeah, I certainly ape a lot of that. I certainly ape a lot of Hunter S. Thompson. But then, I love Douglas Adams. I love Frank Herbert's world building. I love Tolkien. I love Stephen King. I mean, there's so many things that filter down into what I do. The first one I published was called Boxing Gorillas. And Boxing Gorillas was a crime thriller set in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And it follows a guy named Mason Burke who's just graduated college and kind of drifting and listless and looking for a place. And has a friend in Gulf Shores who helps him get a cheap place at the beach. And in no short amount of time, he kind of falls in with this crew of miscreants, and they run afoul of a group of drug smugglers, and suddenly they're kind of facing off for that, like I think I put in the blurb something like the soul of the last lost beach community on the Gulf of Mexico. The second book was called Silesia, and the premise of that book was that a big box shopping retailer called ShopSmart, which is my stand-in for Walmart, so I don't get sued, is basically the waiting area for souls on their way to hell. And each one of the people in the vignettes is representing one of the 7 deadly sins. So the person enters the ShopSmart and they're shepherded through sort of the misdeeds of their lives by a member of the staff, which is the demon that lords over that particular sin. So, for instance, I don't know, the person that comes to mind is gluttony. And the guy that is my stand-in for gluttony meets a guy that's in the ShopSmart counting goods, and his name is Bub. So he's Beelzebub, who lords over gluttony. And it goes on from there. But it was a fun thing because I despise Walmart. I despise going there. A boss of mine had once said, I can't fathom the idea of buying my underwear at the same place I buy my apples. And that's kind of stuck with me for the rest of my life. I was like, yeah, there's something just completely sideways about that I can't get behind. My new one has just come out. It's called All Possible Orbits. It follows a middle-aged guy named Tucker Merrill, who has, in the opening bit of the book, he's lost his job as a history professor at Auburn. He's come through a nasty divorce. He's lost all of his money because of the divorce, and at that moment finds out that his brother has committed suicide. So
He's just having a rough day.
Yeah, he's having a rough time. So not really having anything to stay in Auburn for, but not really wanting to commit to his hometown, which is where he has to go for his brother's funeral. He kind of puts everything in a storage unit and goes back there thinking, okay, well, I'll go back to the funeral and maybe I'll flop for a couple of weeks till I find where I'm going and what I'm doing. But in the interim, he sort of gets sucked back into the town, and he gets sucked back into dealing with all these dysfunctional relationships that he sort of left behind, that he never had any real closure on. He kind of took off after college and just left. And he comes back for the weddings, funerals, and Christmases, but that's pretty much it. Not enough time to build or sort out any kind of long-standing dysfunction.
Yeah.
So he's there dealing with his brother's death, and slowly but surely, the little town of Natchez sort of puts its claws into him and forces him to have to stay there and confront all this stuff before he can move forward.
It sounds like you've got some really, really solid character-driven stories here.
Well, and that's really what I like to do. I like to dig a little deeper into people. And again, I'm much more like Leonard. I'm a dialogue-driven guy. I do like to flourish, but in the end, I want the characters to tell the stories. I want the voices to tell the stories.
That kind of actually covers the question I had about inspirations, because obviously you're drawing from Elmore Leonard, you're drawing from a lot of the other authors that you enjoy reading.
But I'm also drawing from my own experience there too. I'm from Natchez, Mississippi, and a lot of these people are based on either people I'm related to or people that I know, and I'll cherry pick like a lot of people do. I'll take one bad thing from this person and one good thing from this person, and I'll put them all together. But and then there's some people in the book that are just completely made up. But
yeah,
but growing up, I've I always had a sense that I had a really dysfunctional family, but everybody around here does. But it came to me over the course of time that mine might be a little more uh, strange than the next guy. And I would tell these stories to friends of mine, and I told them so many times that, you know, I knew where the punchlines were. I knew the ones that landed right.
And it's cathartic too, because I mean, when you're pulling from something so personal, it allows you to work through some of those issues and some of those hangups and some of those demons that you otherwise didn't get. And so for that,
Mm-hmm.
it's like just like with Merrill, there was a little bit of closure that you got as the writer, just as he was getting closure on some of those
Absolutely,
issues he was.
absolutely, and that's part of why it was, you know, why it was so important to me to work through it. It was just because it was cathartic to me too.
How did you get into writing? Was this something that you've always wanted to do? I mean, you said you mentioned before that you were a musician for a lot longer than you've been a writer.
Hmm.
How did you get into this whole being an author thing?
Um, you know, before I was even a musician, which I started playing when I was 16, so I've been at that for 30 plus years. But slightly before that, I don't know. I started working on like little shorts for my English class, and I found that I liked it, and I had like a little facility for it, I guess. Um, so I always kind of dabbled in it. I can remember the moment that it hit me though. I got grounded for throwing a party when I was a kid, and my stepfather, uh, they grounded me for 9 weeks. So every night after my homework, I had to read. Now, as part of my deal, my stepdad picked the book. So I guess he was feeling sorry for me and didn't pick like War and Peace or some terrible, boring thing. He gave me a book by a guy named George MacDonald Fraser called Flashman. I'd never read anything like it. I mean, Flashman is still, I think, my favorite anti-hero of all time. He has almost no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And you still find yourself rooting for the guy, and you can't even help it because he's just so upfront about the fact that he just is a terrible human being. What's great about it, though, is that Flashman is written from the point of old Flashman, kind of trying to set the record straight before he dies. Because in legend in Victorian England, he's like the, you know, he is the British war hero.
Yeah.
You know, he's the hero of the empire. And all this bad stuff that he's done over the course of his life has just been swept under the rug or luckily never come out and all this stuff. So before he dies, Flashman is kind of writing all this stuff down saying, yeah, I know that it's said that it happened this way, but it actually happened this way. And the way that it happened is awful.
Looking at some of at the way that you've written and the books you've got out right now, and this whole process of coming into being a writer, what was the hardest part or the biggest challenge that you faced while creating your work?
Finding a voice that felt like me. You know, I like everybody, I think in any kind of artistic pursuit, you try on a lot of hats, you know. I know as I can only kind of relate it back to being a bass player that, you know, my bass playing has shades of Les Claypool. It has shades of James Jamerson. It has shades of John Paul Jones. It has shades of Geddy Lee. It has all these different things. But somewhere along the way, all those things melded together into whatever my sound is. Right. And I think that's what happened over the course of time with trying to write Boxing Gorillas, because my first book took forever because I couldn't shake off all these inspirations coming through me too heavily. They were choking off my own voice. I don't know that I really hit my stride until this third book. And I've actually gone back and revised the first two to bring them more in line with, you know, with how I write now. Not that I changed the story and not that I changed really that much dialogue, but just in the execution of the writing, I needed to go back and fix some things and make sure that it was all up to snuff. But finding something that felt like me took time. And it took a lot of just tapping away at the computer and, just playing with it to figure out what works and what doesn't.
So we're coming up to the end here. Um,
Mhm.
my question that I have for you is, what advice would you give, if any, to other would-be authors out there? What would you say to them?
Work. Be prepared to work. Somebody, I don't know who it was, that talks about the 10,000 hours to put in to be good at something. And then there's another 10,000 on top of that, another 10 on top of that. But enjoy it. Enjoy the process. I see so many people on social media griping that they have to go through these edits, or griping that they've got to try and do this, or griping about that. And I'm like, what are you griping about? I love doing this stuff. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't like it. I mean, editing kind of is one of my favorite things. I love the minutia of it. But I'm kind of one of those geeks that like recording too, because of the same thing. I like the minutia of looking at something that's happening in this little small snippet and making it work for the whole.
Well, awesome. Adam, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks for yours. I appreciate you having me.
You're very welcome. How can people get a hold of you? How can they connect with you and get a hold of copies of your books?
Sure. Everything you need to find and answer all those questions is at adamperrywriting.com. Links to all of my books are there. Any place that you can purchase them is there. There's a connection page to get with me on that site. There's also places to leave reviews. And there's also links to my Instagram page, my YouTube page, and my LinkedIn, all on adamperrywriting.com.
A big thank you goes out to Adam Perry for participating in this author awareness interview. You can buy his books and follow him through social media. All links are listed down below. Hey, thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and if you'd like to support this channel, you can do so on Patreon through one of 3 affordable support plans. Patrons get access to blooper reels, behind-the-scenes videos, and much more. You can also buy sweet merch from my store on Teespring, and then you can rep those items on social media by tagging me at GKJ_publishing and using the hashtag 5kingdomsmerch. Or, if you'd like, you can sign up for the free poster giveaway, and I'll announce the winner when I hit 200 YouTube subscribers. I'll see you back here next week for Creator's Corner as we take a deeper dive into the first section of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey by looking at the ordinary world. The vlog of the 5 Kingdoms is filmed without the use of a live audience at Skyrocket Studios in Hanford, California. We can't do what we do without your help, so please make sure to subscribe by clicking the button that's above my head, and make sure to watch and share the videos over here to my left. Have a great week.